Now, can you see the slide? Is the slide visible? Okay. Okay, so our first topic will be hormone elimination from the blood. Okay, so far we have discussed so many things, how hormone is secreted, how they are transported, and after reaching the target cell, how they bind to their receptors. After binding to their receptors, what is the mechanism of their action also we have discussed. Okay, so after completing their action, what will happen to those hormones? Okay, means after performing their function, okay, they have to be removed from the body. Okay, so that is hormone elimination from the blood. Okay, so we can say hormones are cleared from the plasma in several ways. Clear means they are removed from the blood now. Okay, or we can say it may be from the tissue also. Okay, how they are cleared or removed from the plasma? Okay, number one, by metabolic destruction inside the tissues, which will be performed by the enzymes, different enzymes. Okay, so they will be destroyed or metabolized by the enzymes of the tissue. This is point number one. Number two is that some hormones, they will bind with the tissues. Okay, they will bind with the tissues, and these hormones, instead of destroying, they may be recycled. That means they may be reused. Okay, but we can say that they are also cleared from the plasma. They are removed from the plasma. Okay, number three is degradation in the liver. Okay, degradation in the liver and excreted into the bile. What does it mean? Some hormones, like steroid and thyroid hormones, they will be destroyed, okay, broken down in the liver cells, okay, and then they will be excreted into the bile. Okay. Number four, some hormones like peptide hormones and catecholamines, okay, they are excreted by the kidneys into the urine. Okay, so here two important organs are involved. Number one is liver. Okay, liver, they will degrade steroid and thyroid hormones, and those metabolites will be excreted into the bile. Another one is that the kidneys, it will excrete peptide hormones and catecholamines into the urine. Okay, so next point, for certain hormones, a decreased metabolic clearance rate frequently causes an excessively high concentration of the hormone in the circulating body fluids. Okay, so what does it mean? Suppose there may be some hormones, their metabolic clearance rate, or we can say their clearance rate from the plasma is very slow. It means it is very much slower than they are released. So in that case, what will happen is that there can be excessively high concentration of this hormone in the body fluid, especially in the plasma, we can say. Okay, so clearance rate, if it is low, means there is a higher chance of increasing their concentration in the plasma. Okay, so next point, hormones are sometimes degraded at the target cells by the enzymatic processes that cause endocytosis of the cell membrane hormone receptor complex. The hormone is then metabolized in the cell, and the receptors are usually recycled back to the cell membrane. Okay, so from the diagram it is clear. So we have here hormone is there. Okay, this green in color. Okay, hormone binds to its receptor. Okay, and the whole structure, it will undergo endocytosis. Okay, so by endocytosis, the hormone, it is now internalized along with its receptor itself. Okay, but inside the cell there are, what do you say, lysosomes. Okay, lysosomes which will cause degradation of the hormones. So here you can see, let's say this is a peptide hormone. Okay, so it will be broken down into amino acids, and these amino acids then it may be utilized again for the synthesis of protein. But the thing is that this receptor, it may be recycled back. That means it can be returned to the cell membrane again to be utilized again. Okay. So most of the peptide hormones, we already know in classification of hormones. Okay. Most of the peptide hormones and catecholamines are water soluble and circulate freely in the blood. This one we have already discussed when we discuss about the transport of the hormones. Peptide hormones and catecholamines, they are water soluble. That means they are soluble. So they are circulating in the blood in the free form. Okay. They are usually degraded by enzymes in the blood and tissues. Okay. So peptide hormones and catecholamines, they are usually destroyed by the enzymes which is present inside the blood and the tissues, or we can say the target tissue. They are then rapidly excreted by the kidneys and liver, thus remaining in the blood for only a short time. Okay, so it is clear that earlier also I told you that catecholamines and peptide hormones, they are excreted by the. Another one is even the liver, they can also excrete. So because of this, their presence inside the circulation is short as compared to steroid hormones and the thyroid hormones. Okay, these hormones have a very short half-life in the blood, lasting from only a few seconds to a few minutes. Okay, half-life means how much amount of that particular hormone. Okay, half of the concentration of that particular hormone in the plasma is cleared from the plasma. Okay, that is the half-life. Okay, half amount of the molecules which is clear from the plasma is known as the half-life. That means the duration, how much time it will take, okay, to clear half of that molecules from the plasma. Okay, so the plasma half-life, it is very short and it will be around few seconds to few minutes. That is regarding peptide hormones and catecholamines. Okay, and such rapid degradation makes it possible to regulate target cell function quickly and precisely. Since their half-life is very short, their function will also be performed within a short period of time. It will be very quick. Okay. So that is regarding peptides and catecholamines. What about steroid and thyroid hormones? Okay, they are bound to, as you all know, these two groups of hormones. They are not soluble in the plasma. That is where most of them, they are bound to their transport protein in the circulation. Therefore, they are more resistant to degradation and excretion than the catecholamines. Since they are bound for their destruction or degradation, it is more difficult, or they are more resistant to degradation and excretion. Okay, they are eliminated more slowly. Okay, now elimination is slowly, and their half-life in the blood ranges from few hours to several days. Okay, regarding catecholamines and peptide hormones, it was very short. Okay, but regarding steroid hormones and thyroid hormones, the plasma half-life may be hours to several days. Okay, these hormones can therefore sustain more stable stimulation of target cells than many peptide hormones. That is why their duration of action, okay, the duration of their action, it is very much longer. They can sustain their function for a longer period of time. That is why thyroid hormones, okay, the stored thyroid hormones inside the thyroid gland, okay. Suppose if there is no more synthesis of new thyroid hormones, but those stored thyroid hormones, they may be sufficient to maintain the function of the body for several months also. Okay, so this will be discussed when we talk about thyroid gland. Okay, so for example, the half-life of adrenal steroids in the circulation ranges between 20 and 100 minutes. Okay, adrenal steroids, this is their half-life. But what about the thyroid hormones? It is having a very much longer plasma half-life, which may be 1 to 6 days. Okay, degradation of these hormones occurs primarily in the liver cells. That means thyroid hormones and steroid hormones, their degradation or destruction occurs primarily in the liver. Here, steroid hormones and thyroid hormones are converted to water-soluble compounds. Okay, when they are destroyed in the liver, okay, they will become, means the products will become water-soluble compounds, and they re-enter the bloodstream and are then excreted by the kidney. Okay. Oh, sorry. Now, this is the last slide for the elimination of hormones from the plasma. Okay, two factors can increase or decrease the concentration of a hormone in the blood. Number one is concentration of hormone in the blood, means in the plasma. Okay, number one is rate of hormone secretion. If the rate of hormone secretion is more, the concentration of this hormone will also be high in the plasma. Okay, so another factor, okay, is rate of removal of hormones from the blood. Okay, what is the rate of clearance of the hormone from the blood? That is known as metabolic clearance rate. Okay, so this is usually expressed in terms of number of ml of plasma cleared of the hormone per minute. Okay, that means how many ml of plasma cleared of the hormone within a particular time or duration of time or per unit time. Okay, to calculate this clearance rate, one measures, number one, the rate of disappearance of hormones from the plasma. Okay, rate of disappearance of hormones from the plasma, which is expressed in nanograms per minute. And another value we have to estimate is what is the plasma concentration of the hormones, which is expressed in nanograms per ml of plasma. So by using this formula, we can calculate the metabolic clearance rate. What is the rate of clearance or removal of hormone from the blood? That is, rate of disappearance of hormone from the plasma divided by concentration of hormone in each ml of plasma. Okay, so this is regarding the hormone clearance from the plasma. Okay, now the next topic is hypothalamic hormones or factors. Okay, so far we talk about the general discussion regarding the hormones. Okay, we generalized it. Okay, what is their action? What is their receptors? How hormone binds to their receptors? What is their action? Okay, after that function, how they are cleared or removed from the plasma. Okay, we have already, so we have discussed all these things. Now we are going to discuss the endocrine glands, or we can say the organ which is producing hormones one by one. Okay, earlier I told you that the endocrine glands, it can include this hypothalamus. Some part of hypothalamus is actually it is not endocrine gland, but they are producing hormone. Okay, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, all this is pancreas, testes, ovaries. Okay, adrenal gland. Okay, all these are the endocrine glands. Now we are going to discuss one by one. Okay, different organs or endocrine glands which are producing the hormones. Okay, the first one is the hypothalamus. Okay, actually hypothalamus is not an endocrine gland. Okay, it is a nervous tissue only. Okay, but you have to remember that they are also producing hormones which are very important. Okay, which control the function of pituitary gland. And pituitary gland is the master gland of the endocrine gland. So it is controlling so many functions inside our body. Okay, so you please listen carefully from now on. Okay, and it is not difficult also. Okay, can you hear me or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we'll talk about the hypothalamus or hypothalamic hormones or factors. So you have to remember that here I wrote hormones / factors. Okay, so sometimes in some books you may find that these are it may be written that hypothalamic factors instead of hypothalamic hormones. Okay, so these are same thing only when we talk about the hypothalamic hormones. Okay, we can also call them as factors. Okay, so you just see here you have the diagram of the brain. Okay, So hypothalamus, this red in color, triangular, somewhat triangular in shape. Okay, so this is hypothalamus. And just below the hypothalamus, pituitary gland is there. Okay, this pituitary gland, we can say that it is just an extension of the hypothalamus. Okay, and you know hypothalamus is consisting of the nervous tissue. Okay, neurons as well as other non-neuronal tissue. Okay, so but as I told you, this hypothalamus, though they are not the classical endocrine gland. Okay, they are not classical endocrine gland, but they are also producing some hormones or factors, which are very important. Okay. Now, the nervous system and endocrine system are truly integrated structurally and functionally in the hypothalamus. Okay. Here you can see nervous system. Okay. The nervous system, here it is the hypothalamus. Okay. And the endocrine system is the pituitary gland. Okay, nervous system is hypothalamus here, and pituitary gland is the endocrine system here. Okay, so here you can see that they are connected structurally or integrated structurally. Okay, anatomically they are joined. Here you can see this is hypothalamus. Here it is the pituitary gland. Okay, structurally or anatomically they are joined or they are related. Okay, and functionally also. Okay, or physiologically also we can say functionally they are also coordinated with each other, because the hormones released by hypothalamus will influence the function of the pituitary gland. Okay, it will influence the pituitary hormones. That is why here we can say in the hypothalamus, nervous system and endocrine system, they are integrated structurally and functionally. Structurally means anatomically they are joined together. Okay, they are connected, and functionally hypothalamus will influence, hypothalamic hormones will influence the function of the pituitary gland. Okay. Now point number 1 here, communication between hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland. Okay. What is this communication? Okay, anatomically you already know. Okay, let's see. You already know here anatomically in the second function you can second diagram you can see this part is the hypothalamus. Okay, and this is the pituitary gland, anterior part and the posterior pituitary gland. This is the pituitary gland. Here functionally they are connected. Okay, anatomically they are connected or structurally they are connected. What about the functional integration? Functionally, communication between the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, anterior pituitary. Okay, here we have to remember first, anterior pituitary occurs through the chemicals called number 1, releasing hormones or factors, and they are collectively known as liberins, and number 2, inhibiting hormones or factors, collectively known as the statins. So here you can see functionally how hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland are connected, okay, or interrelated. It means this hypothalamus will releasing hormones as well as inhibiting hormones, which will then influence the anterior pituitary gland. Okay. Now let's see how these hormones, from where these hormones are produced or secreted. So neurosecretory neurons, okay, or neurosecretory cells in the arcuate nucleus, preoptic nucleus, periventricular nucleus, and ventromedial hypothalamus synthesize these releasing and inhibiting hormones. So you just see on the left side of the diagram here, you can see periventricular nucleus is a preoptic nucleus, arcuate nucleus. Okay, so this nuclei, okay, they are synthesizing, inhibiting hormones as well as releasing hormones. Okay, so they are synthesized here. Okay, after they are being synthesized, okay, then they will be released through the axon. Okay, so these are the neurons only, you can see, through their axons, and it will move to the hypophyseal portal system that we will discuss afterwards. Okay, so first let's see what are those releasing and inhibiting hormones produced by this nuclei. Periventricular nuclei, preoptic nuclei, arcuate nucleus, as well as ventromedial hypothalamic part of this hypothalamus. Okay, so these hormones, there are 4 releasing hormones. Okay, 4 releasing hormones and 2 inhibiting hormones. The first 4, they are the releasing hormones, okay, which are all synthesized in this nuclei. Okay, the first 4 releasing hormones, number 1, thyrotropin releasing hormone or factor, in short, TRH or TRF. Okay, number 2, gonadotropin releasing hormone or fraction, GnRH or GnRF. Okay, number 3 the third releasing hormone is growth hormone releasing hormone or factor, GHRH or GHRF. And number 4, releasing hormone, corticotropin releasing hormone or factor, CRH or CRF. Okay, so the first 4, they are stimulatory, or we can say they are releasing hormone. And the last 2, they are inhibitory. Okay, instead of stimulating release of other hormones, they will inhibit. This one, the first one is somatostatin or growth hormone inhibitory hormone. Okay, so somatostatin is also somatostatin of the hypothalamus is also known as growth hormone inhibitory hormone, GHRH. And the last one is dopamine, or this is also known as prolactin inhibitory protein. Okay, so now you just remember there are 6 numbers of hypothalamic hormones. 4 are stimulatory or releasing hormones, and 2 are inhibitory hormones. Okay. Now, as I told you, what is hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system, or simply we can call this hypophyseal portal system. Okay. So it is a system of blood vessels. Okay. So you have to remember that what is hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system. It is a system of blood vessels in microcirculation at the base of the brain that connects brain to the anterior pituitary. Okay, or we can say that connects hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary. Okay, so we can see here in the first diagram, you just see. So you see, these are neurosecretory cells. You already know these neurosecretory cells, they synthesize those 4 releasing hormones and 2 inhibiting hormones. Okay, after that, what they will do is that they will release their synthesized hormone into the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system. Okay, so all these things, this is hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system. Okay, so this system is composed of number 1, primary capillary plexus. Okay, what is this primary capillary plexus? Or we can say primary capillary bed. So you already know what is capillary bed. It is a network of the capillaries only. Okay, here you can see this is the primary capillary bed. It introduces blood vessels. Those inhibiting and releasing hormones, they are released, okay, from the. And after this capillary bed, there is the portal, hypophyseal portal vein. Okay, so this is the hypophyseal portal vein. You can see hormones, they are released from the primary capillary bed to this portal vein or hypophyseal portal veins. Okay, and after these veins, there is the secondary capillary plexus come. Okay, here the secondary capillary bed. Okay, another capillary network. Now, this network, secondary capillary network or bed, it is present inside the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, so this is anterior pituitary gland, this portion. Okay, this portion is the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, so the secondary capillary bed, it is located in the anterior pituitary gland, and the primary capillary bed, it is present in median eminence. Okay, so here you see in the diagram you can see here. Okay, so this portion, the stalk, okay, this portion is known as the median eminence. Okay, so the primary capillary plexus is located here. Okay, these are the portal vein, and this is the secondary capillary plexus located in the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, is it clear or not? Is there any question? No question. Okay, hypophyseal portal system is clear. Okay, it is very simple. Primary capillary plexus, hypophyseal portal veins, and secondary capillary plexus. Primary capillary plexus is located in the median ends of the pituitary gland, and secondary capillary plexus is inside the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, now, okay, here it is written here. Primary capillary plexus is in the median eminence, secondary capillary plexus is in the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, the two capillary beds are then connected by the hypophyseal portal veins. Okay, all these things we have discussed. Now another one is that the primary capillary bed in the median eminence is fed from the superior hypophyseal artery. Okay, so this is the superior hypophyseal artery. Okay, in this example also here you can see superior hypophyseal artery. Okay, now how hormones is released. Okay, this you already know. Let's say step by step. Number one, the hormones are released into the primary capillary plexus. So here it is clear from the neurosecretory cells. It is released and move to their axon, and they are released into the primary capillary plexus. Then they are then transported through the hypophyseal portal vein towards the secondary capillary plexus. Then in the secondary capillary plexus, you already know that it is located in the anterior pituitary gland, and they will influence of the anterior pituitary. So that they will influence the hormones of the anterior pituitary gland. All those inhibitory hormones and releasing hormones. Okay, then they will influence the cells of the hormones, cells of the anterior pituitary gland, which will ultimately influence the synthesis and secretion of another different types of hormones here. Okay, this we will discuss afterwards. Okay, specific hypothalamic hormones bind to receptors on specific anterior pituitary cells, modulating the release of hormones produced by the anterior pituitary cells gland. A prominent mechanism for control of the releasing and inhibiting hormone is negative feedback. Okay, forget about it. Okay, now let's see hormones now, hypothalamic hormones. Now they are reaching the pituitary gland, anterior pituitary gland. Okay, what they will do is that, okay, here you can see this red in color. Okay, they are all hypothalamic hormones. Okay, GnRH will be released from one type of gonadotropes that you will see afterwards. Okay, then it will influence FSH and LH released from the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, this will be discussed one by one. Okay, now hormones of the hypothalamus. You already know the first four, they are stimulatory or releasing hormones. The last two, they are inhibitory. Okay, now let us discuss one by one. Okay, those hypothalamic hormones. Number one is gonadotropin releasing hormone. In short, GnRH. Okay, so what is GnRH? It is a peptide hormone which is composed of 10 amino acids. It stimulates gonadotropes in the anterior pituitary to secrete FSH and LH. Okay, what is this gonadotropes? Okay, gonadotropes are a type of cells, anterior pituitary cells. Okay, which are having or which are bearing receptors for this GnRH. Okay, so GnRH will bind through its receptors on the gonadotropes of the anterior pituitary gland, and it will stimulate synthesis and release of FSH and LH. Okay, now you see the first one, GnRH. What it does is that it will stimulate the gonadotropes. It will bind through gonadotropes of the anterior pituitary gland, and it will stimulate synthesis and release of FSH and LH. FSH and LH, then they will be released into the bloodstream. Okay, and when they reach the testes or ovaries, what they will do is that they will have another function. Growth of the testes, ovaries, so many functions are there, but they will also cause synthesis and release of testosterone in case of male, and estrogen and progesterone in case of female. Okay, so GnRH, it will stimulate gonadotropes, okay, of the anterior pituitary gland to secrete FSH and LH. Okay, so here you see primary effect is to increase the release of FSH and LH. Secondary effect is to cause the release of estrogen, progesterone in female, and testosterone in male. Okay, so this is the first hypothalamic hormone, GnRH. GnRH is very, very important, practically also in gynecology, okay, to induce heat, or so many, research is being done, okay, on this GnRH, okay. So again, the secretion of GnRH is secretion at the onset of puberty triggers sexual development, okay. When there is puberty or adolescence, at this time, there is sudden increase in the GnRH release, okay, and a person will be, sexually aware or sexually active, we can say. Okay? In case of animals also, animal will come into, in case of into, okay, and the male, it can impregnate the female also. Okay, so at the time of puberty or adolescence, GnRH level suddenly increases. Okay, we will FSH and LH, and it will lead to growth of the testes or ovary and production of testosterone, male hormone, and production of estrogen and progesterone in female. Okay, from then on, it is essential for normal sexual physiology of both males and females. In both sexes, secretion occurs in sexually occurring 1 to 2 hours. Also, we will discuss in more detail, okay, in reproduction. Okay, now we have finished the GnRH. So the second hypothalamic hormone is the thyrotropin releasing hormone, TRH, or another name is thyroliberin. Okay, what is this hormone? It is a it means it contains only 3 amino acids: glutamine, histidine, and proline. Okay, it is a very small hormone. When it reaches the anterior lobe of the pituitary, it stimulates the release of thyroid stimulating hormones from the thyrotropes and prolactin from lectotropes. So we have to remember that this TRH is having 2 functions here. Okay, number 1 is here, you see the TRH. Okay, this TRH, forget about SS. Okay, TRH is here. It is stimulating the thyrotropes. Okay, here it stimulates the thyrotropes of the anterior pituitary gland and cause the release of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So another function of the TRH is that it will also stimulate the lectotrope cells. Okay, these lectotropes in the anterior pituitary gland. Okay, it means this TRH is having receptors, okay, in the thyrotropes as well as in the lectotropes. Okay, what it will do is that it will stimulate the release of prolactin. Okay, in the first one, it will stimulate the lectotropes, which is causing release of, it will stimulate the thyrotropes, which is causing release of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. But in the second event, TRH will stimulate the lectotropes to release prolactin. So it has a dual function. TRH is having dual function in the anterior pituitary gland. Okay. Now what is next? Corticotropin releasing hormone, CRH. Okay. So it is somewhat larger peptide hormones. It is composed of 41 amino acids. As its name indicates, it acts on corticotropin. Now let's see this CRH. Okay, CRH, it will stimulate the corticotropes because corticotrope cells, they are bearing receptors for CRH. Okay, and it will lead to release of two hormones. The first one is SCTH. Okay, here this CRH is also having a dual function, but it will act on the single type of cells, that is the corticotropes. What it will do is that it will cause release or synthesis of SCTH. SCTH, you already know, it will act on adrenal cortex. Okay, this will be discussed afterwards. Then another function of CR, it will stimulate the corticotropes to release or synthesize melanocyte stimulating hormone. Okay, melanocyte stimulating hormone. This is important for the position of melanin in the skin. Okay, so this can influence the color of the skin. Okay, so this is the function of CRH. Okay, it is having two functions: release of SCTH and the melanocyte stimulating hormone. CRH is also synthesized by the placenta enzymes to determine the duration of pregnancy. So during pregnancy, placenta, they can also synthesize this CRH. Okay, so number 4 is the growth hormone releasing hormone. Okay, here you can see GHRH. So it is a mixture of two peptides, okay, one containing 40 amino acids and the other 44 amino acids. As its name indicates, GHRH stimulates somatotrope cells in the anterior pituitary gland to secrete growth hormones. Here you can see the function of this GHRH is to stimulate somatotropes to release growth hormone. So these are the 4 releasing hormones or stimulating hormones. Okay. Now, what about the inhibitory hormones? Number 1 or number 5, you can say here, somatostatin, or in short, SS. Okay, or growth hormone inhibitory hormone, GH. This is wrong. GHIH. Okay, these are correct. Okay. Can you hear me? Slide visible or not? Visible, huh? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
No, okay. So we are talking about the somatostatin. Okay. Here in this diagram, what is this somatostatin? It is a mixture of, again, two peptides. Okay. 114 amino acids and the other 28 amino acids. Somatostatin acts on the somatotropes to inhibit the growth hormone release. Here you can see somatostatin. Okay. It inhibits, okay, growth hormone release instead of stimulating it. It means GHRH and somatostatin, they are opposite to each other regarding their function. Okay. So another function of this somatostatin is, again, it will inhibit thyrotropes through the release of the TSH. It will inhibit the release of TSH from the thyrotropes. Okay, somatostatin, you have to remember that it is inhibitory hormone. Okay, and somatostatin is also secreted by cells in the pancreas and in the intestine. Here it inhibits the secretion of a variety of other hormones. Okay, so other parts of the body like pancreas and intestine, they are also secreting this somatostatin. Okay, so the last one is dopamine or prolactin inhibitory peptide. Okay, so dopamine is a derivative of the amino acid tyrosine. Okay, its principal function is to inhibit the release of prolactin from the lectotropes. So here we can see this dopamine, it will inhibit the release of prolactin from the lectotropes. Okay, so here we can summarize the action of hypothalamic hormones on the anterior pituitary gland. Let's see number one, GnRH. Okay, gonadotropin releasing hormone. What it does is that it will stimulate the gonadotropes for the release of FSH and LH. So it is positive effect, stimulatory effect is that. Number two, growth hormone releasing hormone. What it does is that it will stimulate growth hormone. So here it is a positive effect. What about the somatostatin? Somatostatin, it is inhibitory, already you know. It inhibits the somatotropes for the release of growth hormone, as well as it will inhibit thyrotropes for the release of TSH. Okay. What about thyrotropin releasing hormone? It is having dual function. It will stimulate the thyrotropes for the synthesis of and release of TSH. And another function is that it will stimulate the lectotropes for the release of prolactin. What about dopamine? It will inhibit prolactin secretion, okay, by inhibiting lectotropes. CRH, you know that it will stimulate corticotrope for the release of SCTH as well as MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. Okay, so this is for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.